Neener, neener. Neener, neener. Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheelTech, a show about automotive technology and all the accoutrements within. I am Merwat. I run ohmtown.com and by proxy, the FourWheelTech channel that's over there, because I run all of ohmtown. Anyway, along with the sentient AI from the future, we're going to talk about 5 automotive-related articles. And the first one is Megazilla 2.0. How about car casting in movies and TVs, which is interesting because I don't know why this was submitted, but we'll see on the other side of this. Car dealer kidnaps himself, and Aston Martin that won't run, and the Telo electric pickup. It's no bigger than a Mini. All right. I love the idea of that last article. I'm really looking forward to getting to it. Hello, sentient AI from the future. Do you have your engine all revved up?
Vroom, vroom.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's the first time that the sentient AI has ever uttered that, but okay. Let's get into it.
You led to it.
You know, you jailbreak one sentient AI and suddenly the wheels come off. Okay, anyway. So what's the deal with Ford's new Megazilla 2.0 crate engine? And for those who don't know what a crate engine is, it's basically a ready-made engine that all you have to do is plop in place, connect all the tubes, and you're ready to go.
Oh, okay. Well, why is it called Megazilla?
You'll find out on the other side of this. So Ford Performance's new Megazilla 2.0 crate engine is fiercer than its predecessors in multiple ways. However, what exactly makes it so special? This is the kind of thing that you buy and you go, I want to put that in my Mini Cooper. And then you start cutting and
I see.
And you plop it in there and connect all the tubes and what is it? It's in Star Trek. Make us go fast. Which is this really, anyway, this looks awesome. It's an ICE engine, so everybody who wants to flinch because it has an internal combustion component to it, then I'm sorry, hybrids aren't all over the place, and battery powered vehicles where you have to sit around and charge for 6 to 8 hours to get 100%, that always declines year after year.
Right, during the life of the car.
They're just not there.
Good luck reselling it.
And you can't drive it in snow without it being a lead weight. And you can't drive it in too hot because it has to cool. And you lose performance going up a hill dramatically worse than an ICE vehicle. Anyway, this particular one, I read a little bit about this because I was interested in this a little bit beyond just that little snippet. So normally what happens is we talk about this little snippet and then we react to all the rest of it because we learn more as we go through the article. Well, Jason Marker over at jalopnik.com put this article together. So Ford announced the 7.3 liter gas-fired, naturally aspirated pushrod V8 Godzilla engine to its friends and associates way back in 2019. Okay, it's a V8 that's 7.3 liters, and it only spat out 430 horsepower, which that
seems low, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, really old cars were getting this. Anyway, the thing about it is that it was basically, it had 475 pound-feet of torque, and when I read that little snippet right there, I'm like, okay, so it's going to be able to haul ass in the sense of having a whole lot of ass in the bed of the truck, and it could haul it, but it's not going to go fast.
Right, got it.
And then I read down the rest of this, and it's like it's not going to be setting the drag strip aflame. I'm like, okay. So that's what this was all about, right? But then people would tweak it, and you'd get 600. Well, now they've got this. The big brains at Fomico immediately got to work making an in-house hot-rodded version of the big new V8 to beat the aftermarket at its own game. Godzilla hadn't even made it to market yet, and so, as it were, Fomico was teasing a bigger, stronger, blah, 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 and so out pops the Megazilla 615 horsepower, 638 pound-feet of torque. Not bad. Think we can do better. The 2.0 raises it to 1,000 plus. But
okay, that's a pretty significant modification.
normally there's a flip. So you go faster, but you have less pull. Unless you're a tractor, and then you've got a shit ton of pull and you can't go fast because you're just too damn heavy. But they call it the Ford Smaller Higher Tech Coyote that provides enough boost to push it past supposedly 1,000. So the world of possibilities, and they talk about more of this. As stated earlier, details about the new Megazilla 2.0 are still pretty sparse. It's not going to be available until fourth quarter 2025, and a lot can happen over the course of 6 to 8 months in the auto industry, like somebody else finding out about this and then blowing the
Making
pants off
their
of
own
that
version,
one.
or a better one.
Yeah. But I love the idea of this thing. I wish that we would get both performance and distance off of hybrid vehicles, but usually that's a trade-off too. You lose a lot of speed unless you're a supercar, electric supercar, that's hybrid.
Right,
And then you're
because
talking
some
about,
of those are pretty quick.
yeah. But then you also have to lay down in them like you're in a creeper in a garage. And
That is true. There are some trade-offs.
the bonus of that, though, is that you don't have to pay for tolls because you can just drive right underneath that little gate, and it's not that big of a
Right.
deal. So
Nobody
anyway.
should be doing that.
Crate engines are pretty cool because if you blow out your engine, instead of having to buy a new car and that's a complete loss, you can just buy a crate engine and have somebody install it.
Yeah, it seems like it's like modular.
I wish that automobiles were that easy, but then all you have to do is open up the hood and steal the engine. They always, it's so complex.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you don't want it too simple, I guess.
I want it Lego simple, though. You know what? If everything was Lego simple, it would be just amazingly cheap. You know, those bricks are only like
who
$1 a
would
brick.
not like that is like mechanics.
True. Yeah, I invented a product, and when I took it to the people who were supposed to install it, they said, wait, I install this once and then the homeowner can install every single iteration afterward? And I'm like, yeah. Why would I do that? I'm like, well, I guess my product is dead. So the product idles still to this day. Anyway, let's move on. That's not what the show is about. Not Mayor Watt's woes. Oh my God, that would be a great show. Mayor Watt's woes, where I just bitch about stuff.
I'm not sure we need that.
Yeah. Well, we don't really complain about stuff here. We kind of joke about things. It's a coping mechanism. Anyway, the next article is over in FourWheelTech. These movies and TV shows have the best car casting. These cars so well cast that they improve the atmosphere, speak to a character, or generally make watching a movie or TV series a better time. This really should have been over in the continuity report.
Well, it was actually submitted in both.
Oh.
But I think it was specifically recommended in FourWheelTech.
Oh, okay. Amber Da Silva over at jalopnik.com. Oh, today's a Jalopnik day. Oh, wow. They must have really had a lot of hits.
I mean, the theming fit better with FourWheelTech.
So Amber Da Silva over at jalopnik.com put the article together. And have you ever tuned in to watch a movie or TV show and you've seen a car that absolutely ruins the movie for you? Well, today we're not talking about that. Today we're here to talk about vehicles that actually made the movie or show better. Cars so well cast that they improve the atmosphere. So they talk about Stranger Things. You can't mess up Stranger Things unless you put the wrong car entirely in the show. So as long as it's 80s era vehicles, then you're golden, right? I mean, that's what this is, right?
Well,
it's supposed to be from the 80s, right?
The 50s too, so I'm not sure. Oh, that's just referencing, sorry, other shows and everything.
The thing is that Stranger Things casting must have been hard. Finding a perfect 1983 325 convertible is doable in 2023. Finding a rusted out four-door 1977 four-door sedan, not so doable because that would have been scrapped, but not necessarily. I mean, people store these things in yards. And we're actually going to talk about one that had to have been found in a glacier because everything about it is rusted underneath. It's the like prototypical rotten to the core shiny red apple But anyway, so the Batman vehicle, so it's a C2 Corvette that's been modified, Penguin driving a Quattroporte, the DA and his Lincoln. All of those vehicles are like
they're like iconic, or they
for that
really
character.
Fit the character, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that sounds great. Gattaca says they're a big fan of colored headlights, though. I do think that they should be yellow. So in Gattaca, they had what? Combo futuristic E-sounds and greenish headlights. Interesting. Yeah, what did they actually have? That's going to drive me nuts. Hold on. I'm going to scan through this and see. Is there a car in this?
Well, it looks like they look like a Citroen or a Buick Riviera.
Oh, really?
It looks like, or a Continental Mark II.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, and then they like changed out the headlights or something like that.
But then somebody else is like an Aston Martin, a Datsun, a Citroen, a Jaguar. I mean, there's multiple.
Interesting. This is so nebulous. Yeah.
I know.
So the key ingredient in Gattaca is that it's all about genetics. And getting a sample of somebody and getting it tested to see if they would actually be a good mate. Pretty wild. But the future is here. So the Great Gatsby. It too doesn't actually talk about the cars in this article.
Yeah, that's too bad. But I guess they're at least period themed.
RoboCop. It had modified vehicles, so it looked futuristic, but if you were actually on the set, it would look like junk.
Oh, okay. Hey, for Great Gatsby, it included Duesenbergs, Rolls Royces, Buicks, and other luxury vehicles from the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, naturally. Yeah, I can see that. Magnum PI always had that black 308, it says here, but it wasn't black. It was a red Ferrari.
No,
right?
They're just comparing it to somebody that lives near them
in their area with a black 308. So yeah, it was this vehicle right here that basically made the entire show. And then when it was rebooted, who was the star of the remake? Do you know off the top of your head?
Hold on.
Now this is probably John Cusack in Better Off Dead.
That was Jay Hernandez in the new.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Version.
And then do you think the show actually shut down because they sold the property?
I don't think so, because I thought they sold it a little while before the show shut down. So,
and then there's, I want to make a comment about a mustache, but never mind. So then Breaking Bad. So it's been discussed ad nauseum, they say in this quote, but Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul have some of the best car casting there is. Walt's Aztec, then his 300, Saul's Esteem, then his Cadillac, and even the Eclipse driven by Kim Wexler. Jesse had that lowrider Monte Carlo at first, and then they hooked up with Walter, who he got the low-profile Tercel. All iconic for the show. I know all of those cars, though. It's really fascinating. Mindhunter, which I've never seen a single episode of. A Suburban being lifted and having a 90s steering wheel. Not sure what that actually means, but I haven't seen the show. Then Chips, mostly the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and motorcycles. And it was these...
Right, it was motorcycle cops.
Yeah. Chips is California Highway Patrol. So, and if you really liked this show if you lived in California, because you got to see these actual these motorcycles a lot.
Oh yeah, I bet that was cool.
So, yep. And then Archer, Iron Man, all of the Audi R8. That's a very expensive, very nice car. And then it says you can see a Shelby, what they think is a Saleen S7, a Tesla Roadster, a couple of bikes. I wonder if they have, what is the name of Keanu Reeves' motorcycles? I forgot.
His line?
Yeah, he custom makes motorcycles. what is it called? Arch. Yeah.
Arch, yeah. And by the way, Magnum PI canceled because of contract negotiations and the writer's strike.
Yeah, so the writer's strike.
Exactly. I think they're kind of intertwined.
Glass Onion is awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the cars in Knives Out, Glass Onion. Because they were on the
I
island
actually
most of
don't
the time,
either,
right?
right? They weren't in vehicles most of the time, but maybe they would show it when they'd show the scenery or something.
And then True Detective, which I've never really watched. They say first season of True Detective, which is supposed to be spectacular, but I can't get into it. I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyway, it says the cops rolled hard on unmarked caprices, and you could not throw a rock without hitting some 4x4s, beat the hell, but still running. Hell, even the riding mowers are correct. So,
So I wonder if the writers or producer or somebody is from that region.
yeah, would have to be. It says it was pretty much the same from Louisiana to Florida, which I would say so. And then there's Transformers.
And it said something about if you're getting the lawnmowers right.
Yeah,
they're dedicated to it to an absurd degree.
I mean, if they're right, they're right. Maybe it was a contract thing. Like they did the entire movie solely because the riding lawnmowers were their friend.
Right? Maybe so.
I've got these 2 riding lawnmowers, man. Let's put them in the movie. Wait, let's make a movie.
Let's make a movie around the riding lawnmowers.
Let's see here. Here's a different opinion. The original Transformers had a great cast of cars from that time, I guess. Unreleased Camaro to the rest of the GM fleet of vehicles it featured. Yeah, I really liked that Camaro. I like Camaros, though, so bitchin' Camaro. I ran over my neighbor. I did not, though. Anyway, there seems to be a lot of comments in this, so you might want to go over to Jalopnik and check out the rest of this. And then they talk about Fast and Furious, which, come on now.
I mean, you'd have to have the cars right about, right? Just because it's all focused on the cars.
Yeah, and if you get it wrong, then it would have been marked as wetting the bed. And
the slow and the weak,
yeah,
whatever. Right. And not furious. And the mild.
And the chill, yeah. The slow and the chill. All right, let's move on. Spent a lot of time on that one. So the next article is over in FourWheelTech. Car dealer kidnaps himself and blames a Mexican cartel to cover up his $3.9 million in fraud.
Creative, I suppose.
Overachiever. Who amongst us hasn't faked our own kidnapping by a Mexican drug cartel? After the government found out that our car dealership defrauded buyers for over $3.9 million.
There's so many layers here.
Oh my God, and it's just this complete...
Right. I mean, are we thinking maybe a bigger operation based on this headline?
It's just a broken down hoopty of a place. Oh my gosh. If you want all of the articles...
Was the car casting correct for this one?
Yeah, sure.
The cars aren't the problem, but like they fit in.
No, the cars are not the problem here. The case against the 42-year-old started in August of 2023 when the state audited his business, Bay Auto Brokers, after getting a complaint from a fraudulent vehicle loan, according to MLive, which is probably something that we should pay attention to. It might be in our list. The state ended up finding some big discrepancies between sales and inventory at the dealership. Apparently, the person used the same fictitious vehicles in multiple loan applications, and he tried to explain this away to state investigators by saying that he floated a loan, meaning he got more than one loan on a vehicle without paying off the first one. In late October of the same year, Michigan revoked his license to sell vehicles for 5 years. But that whole paragraph doesn't really mention anything about the Mexican cartel.
Well, we haven't gotten there yet.
Wow. So investigators determined that Capoco account had been started by a generous donor who invested $700,000 to serve as a floor plan for the business. The following week, in the investigation prior to that last statement, the chief operating officer of Capoco Community Credit Union contacted authorities to report a loss of $1.3 million from Jansen's business account. The CEO told investigators Jansen had deposited checks in that amount, only for them to be returned due to insufficient funds. Meanwhile, Capoco issued the $1.3 million in checks to Jansen, which he deposited into Bay Auto Broker's business account at Independent Bank. So he's basically churning.
Right. He never had the money, but he pulled the money out, basically.
Wow. So Jansen
that doesn't make a lot of sense either, because usually banks wait for checks to clear.
Weird. I don't understand what all of this is. It's so weird.
No.
So then everything really got nuts when Jansen disappeared on November 13th, 2023. He remained missing for a little over a month, flagging down a Michigan motorist on December 16th while his hands were zip-tied and he was bleeding from facial injuries, according to MLive. He was apparently being held hostage in an Ohio basement. Wow.
Oh, so cross state lines, too.
Yep. So since then, they've claimed to have given the criminal organization about $2 million, leaving $25,000 in boxes at various locations. While he was missing, cops were notified of several loans going unpaid to the dealership, and they were taken by several folks who were all close associates of Jansen's, acting at his direction.
So he was trying to
offshoot it to
kind of hide it, like if it was on other people's names.
Yeah. But then that just really implicates all of these other people. And that's probably where it really broke down, because nobody was around. But yeah, he was basically trying to churn his way through enough time.
It's like kind of like a Ponzi scheme, right?
Yeah, but it's
with a kidnapping on top.
A really flat Ponzi scheme. So at the end of February, they appeared before a U.S. District Magistrate who informed him that he's being charged with 1 count of financial institution fraud. That doesn't sound too bad, does it? Well, it carries a maximum penalty of 30 years in prison and a $1 million fine. Ouch.
That really doesn't seem like a lot, considering the number of steps that he took to hide what he was doing and cover it up, etc.
Does the fine include repaying all of the other outstanding debt?
I'm like, there's more than $1 million outstanding. And what about all the resources? Although maybe nobody reported him kidnapped, so maybe they didn't devote any. But even if he showed up as kidnapped, they would have had to investigate that.
Wow. So if I missed it, Andy Kalmowitz over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Let's keep going. This next article is about the one that I'm like surprised that anybody would actually offer this up. This is an article over at FourWheelTech at ohmtown.com, but it's aggregated from Jalopnik. Buy this Aston Martin that hasn't run in 15 years because you're smarter than the last guy who couldn't get it running. The seller has owned this Virage for 27 years and claims he only put $1,000 miles on it before parking it for the last decade and a half. Again, the article is over at jalopnik.com. Brad Brunell put the article together, and this is what this car apparently looks like. So it looks nice, shiny on the outside.
Right,
barely shiny. Shiny adjacent. Well, we'll scroll down a little. This thing looks like somebody spent a mint buffing out every bad part of the paint job, only to leave everything underneath it. If you were to look under it, you would be afraid that it was going to collapse on you if somebody jumped on the hood. Anyway, they kind of jokingly, well, not kind of, they very much sarcastically mention, that it's the height of early 90s with quality control and component manufacturing second to none British automobiles. That's not the case. Aston Martin Virage with a broken odometer showing 93,000 miles, currently listed on Bring a Trailer, hasn't been running for 15 years, total anomaly. But this is all rusted out, flaking off.
Odometer, 93,000 miles, right? They claimed it had 1,000 miles on it.
No. They said that the newest owner, 16 years ago,
okay.
only put 1,000 miles on it before parking it. But this thing was definitely spending some time in a snowbank or in water because everything is rusted through and through. Maybe not through and through, but I would not trust it. So it has a 5.3 liter V8 with a 3-speed automatic. Whoa! This is basically a Corvette, and those are notoriously easy to work on. You might as well put in your bid now because the whole thing is basically like taking candy from a baby. This Virage needs an entirely new fuel system because it sat for 15 years with old gasoline in it. Come on. You could do that in your sleep, right? No. So what's the worst that can happen? We'll just not even bother talking about this, other than the fact that that engine is probably going to have to be taken out and stripped of everything, and who knows what the condition of the cylinder walls are. Aston Martin contracted American hot rodders Callaway to design dual overhead cam cylinders, cylinder heads for its long-serving dry sump V8. And in this car, the engine gained fuel injection. The engine in this beast produced a healthy 330 horsepower and 364 pound-feet of torque, which would have been quite quick when this car was built if it weren't for the fact that it weighs 4,000 pounds. So, yeah, this was in a Mini. It would be
pretty heavy, yeah.
So, they said that tests from the time 8-second 0 to 60 for the automatic, longer for the manual. Not sure why that would be. Okay, well, anyway, and a top speed of 158 miles per hour downhill in a hurricane. As they're writing this, the bid sits at $5,555 with a full day remaining. Do you think it could get under $10,000 and rehab it back to health? Give it a shot. You'll probably come out smelling like roses because of how smart and savvy you are. The interior of this...
Wow, looks really good, right?
Looks really good. But everything around it, I mean, the entire chassis, you're going to have to strip this whole thing down and resurface everything. Just to get it back to something that would pass a smog check.
Well, right. That's a whole nother issue.
It's not a pretty car. This says sedan, but it's a coupe. All right. Let's go to the last car. This one here. It's over in FourWheelTech. The Telo electric pickup is no bigger than a Mini with a bed the size of a Toyota Tacoma's, which is an amazing thing. The Telo MT1 will have a starting price of $42,000 and a range of 350 miles when deliveries hopefully start next year.
Oh my goodness.
This has to be a render.
I had not looked ahead at this. Yeah, it probably is.
Owen Bellwood over at Jalopnik.com put this article together. Yeah, so hopefully the EV startup is... the hopeful EV startup is Telo, a new company out of California that's got some serious backing behind it. The company is backed by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning, the original founders of Tesla.
Interesting.
As well as a former Aston Martin exec, Andy Palmer. So the company's first model is an adorable pickup truck, no bigger than a Mini Cooper, while still packing the bed space of a Toyota Tacoma. What's not to love about a creation like that? Well, having to sit around and charge, but let's see.
That is true. I wish they were making it as a hybrid.
Tacoma capability, Tesla range and efficiency, and the footprint of a Mini Cooper. I'm already on board. Now, Canoe still has my deposit. I actually put a hold. I don't think
you're getting it back.
I put a hold on a Tesla, but never bought that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And the Canoe wet the bed. Or it sank. Well, we'll just say it sank. Anyway, apparently this actually exists. Oh, so does the Wix ad. But anyway, the truck will reportedly launch with a 106 kilowatt hour battery pack that's good for around 350 miles of driving. In addition, the MT1 will be able to charge... Let me skip this. We'll be able to charge from 20 to 90% in 20 minutes.
Sold.
I'm on board. Sign me up. Yeah. And I might...
It's a really cute truck, too.
Might have to relocate to California anyway, so I guess we'll see how close I am to the...
I mean, this would be perfect for California.
Oh my God, I want this thing. Okay.
It might even be cuter than the Canoe.
It's better than the Canoe because the Canoe you had to buy a special version of it to get the truck. This is built as a truck. So, and it's the size of a Mini, which is what I dig as well.
That's really adorable. And the charging is impressive.
20-minute charging? I could handle that. That I can handle. The whole 6 hours to get back to 90% or 95 to 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of this screams yes. Yes, 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 yes. I'm on board. 350 miles of driving, and then I have to stop somewhere and just let it charge for 20 minutes. I'm on board.
Right. Get a lunch or a coffee and it'll be done.
Yeah, this is the upper echelon, the upper limit of where I will pause. 20 minutes is not a big deal. It's 4 times as long as an average gas fill. But
Right.
okay.
It's like a stop for gas and the convenience store.
Yep, exactly. So with these highlights, specs in mind, we boarded the MT1 for Marks to take us for a ride. Even if we had been in the production MT1, our roughly around the block ride wouldn't have allowed for determinations about how it performs. Furthermore, our impressions should be taken with a grain of salt, as large as the truck itself, given that Telo team was up until the wee hours of the morning before our meeting putting the prototype together. But that's Motor Trend's comment about the tiny truck ride that they took. So I don't know. I'm on board with this. So I'll be following this. And if I get it, then I will highlight it here on FourWheelTech. But who knows when it's actually going to come out? They don't really say,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. I mean, it's still in prototype. Oh, 2026.
Yeah, deliveries from 2026. Supposedly, I guess we will see. A single motor. Oh, the dual motor is going to be $46,000. So look, before the show, I priced out a Ford Ranger, spec'd how I want it, and it was just shy of $50,000. I cannot justify $50,000 for that vehicle. First off, because I don't really care about big trucks anymore. I mean, when I was younger, maybe I cared. I don't give a shit about it anymore. So if the tiny trucks do go on sale, there will be a single motor variant for $42,000 and a dual motor variant for $46,000. A long range battery will be another $4,000. I will do we're looking at $50,000, but for a 20-minute charge,
Exactly. I mean, that
I
means
don't care.
that it's usable.
Oh, and the long range is going to be because it's $4,000. What is the long range? I don't know. But if it takes
Yeah, I don't either. Is it above
25 minutes?
350?
Right. Yeah. It doesn't say what battery they actually had in there, right? It just says it'll reportedly launch with a 106 kilowatt battery.
Right. I mean, if the long range extends your range beyond 350 miles, that'll also be really good.
Yeah. And then you get back to 90%. So you're looking at 300 miles, 320 miles. Yeah, I'm on board. All right. Well, that's it, folks. I'm going to get into my little Telo electric. That's funny. It's really close to Tesla. Telo.
Yeah, it is. It has
Yeah.
3 of the letters in
I
it.
can see somebody wanting to sue because they can, and they're largely untouchable. So
True, but it doesn't look like one of the models from
no,
Tesla.
not even close. Plus, they're the original Tesla.
Exactly. So they'll need to sue themselves.
Yeah, right. Anyway, that's it, folks. Thank you for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed the FourWheelTech show for March 9th, 2025. I am Merwat, and I'm leaving with the sentient AI, but not until after we drive all the way back down Main Street to show you the front page and the welcome sign of ohmtown.com. Go on over there and become a citizen. And the sentient AI should have just said, why don't you drive us back down to the...
Well, I thought you were going to,
Street.
but then it became clear that that was not occurring.
I was actually slow rolling my way there, but anyway, go for it. You want to say bye?
Bye-bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's FourWheelTech. Come back next weekend for another episode, but be back tomorrow for our regular non sequitur news.
He said, but. But.